Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info.
Every morning on 99.3 Nigeria Info, we begin your day with you splendidly, and we ensure that your day kicks off well and gets to a fantastic start. We started since 6 a.m. and you're welcome to this part of the show where we take a look at the stories making it to the front pages this morning. It's called the Morning Crossfire. You're welcome. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I am Sheriff Quadry. Remember that you can watch us live on YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3 live. Just type that in that search bar on YouTube and you can join us live on this from the front pages on your number one news talk and sports radio station. You can also drop your comment on our Twitter handle. Feel free to do that at Nigeria Info FM. That's our handle on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. We'll take your tweet as well. And feel free to also join the conversation on WhatsApp. The WhatsApp line is 0809 597 5805. That is 0809 597 5805. Gbolahan Olojede joins us right now on the program. Gbolahan, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to be here again.
You're welcome. Let's start with this story on the Guardian newspaper. Osinbajo, the fight back begins. If you've been following this story, it's been pretty interesting the past 2 days. 4 writers here. Tough one says, I will waive immunity to clear my name, says VP. Vows to prosecute Frank Ononuju for peddling falsehood. Media house retracts story on alleged corruption. Lawyers defer over renunciation of legal protection. You find this on the Guardian newspaper. It's also on the Punch. I'll waive immunity, clear my name on 90 billionaire poll fund, says Osinbajo. The story is also here on the Daily Independent banner headline. 90 billionaire FIRS saga. I'll waive immunity to clear my name, says Osinbajo here. Waiving immunity violates constitution. Ozekume says you can be investigated while prosecution is deferred. Says Cabal victimizing VP for Tinubu's presidential ambition. I stand by my claims against Osinbajo, Timmy Frank insists.
On the front page of the Nation newspaper, VP Osinbajo takes on accusers to waive immunity. From the Nation newspaper above the nameplate, you can pick up the paper and read further. From Daily Trust newspaper, banner headline, 90 billion naira allegation. I will waive immunity to clear my name. That's credited to Osinbajo. Writers, we're not probing VP, EFCC. Lawyers divided. Daily Trust is a paper if you like to read. Pick up that particular paper. Moving on to the Vanguard newspaper. 90 billion naira corruption allegation. I will waive my immunity to defend myself. Osinbajo. That headline is above the nameplate, the Vanguard newspaper.
Well, if you don't know what this story is about, I don't know where you've been. But there was a report by a newspaper in the past days, September 23rd, titled 90 billion naira FIRS election fund. Osinbajo's problem, not 23 politics, says Frank. Now, who's the Frank? He's an activist, a political associate of Atiku Abubakar, Timmy Frank. Had claimed that the vice president was allegedly in trouble because he failed to give account of the alleged 90 billion naira collected to prosecute the 2019 elections. If you read that article, in fact, it specifically said, like he was sure that Osinbajo was even said to the president, we use the money for the election. And the vice president, through his legal counsel, had written to Vanguard newspaper demanding an apology and retraction of the report in the paper, which alleged that he collected the sum. And the vice president has gone on to say, if I need to waive my immunity, I will do that. I'm going to sue all of you and ask you why you were making such allegations. Question now is, can he even waive his immunity?
Okay, I would like to approach this first from the perspective of a citizen. As a citizen of this country, when I read a story like that, it's a story that is deeply rooted in the integrity of the leader on accountability issues, serious accountability issues. And then the third part is the fact that at a time when the country is talking about increasing tax in certain areas, and then a story about the fact that the tax are being used to prosecute election, of a particular political party.
90 billion.
90 billion naira. So it is not an issue of refute. I refute this on this. No. If it has been said that this is what happened, and that is not what happened, then it becomes an issue of defamation. If there's a defamation or libel issue, please slam the suit. It is not defamation. It's not a place. For me as a citizen, I'm feeling pained that this is being looked at as if it's a matter for banters on the media. No, it's not a matter of banter. It has to be settled in the court.
Which the vice president said he will do. And the media house that is involved in all of these things has retracted the story and tendered an apology, to the VP. But here is my problem with this, and this concerns the media as a whole. You want to do a story, someone did a piece for you, you didn't do your due diligence to make sure that the story, you verify the story, and you just go out there and you run to press,
you run it,
and you push it.
However, a question could also be raised that it was an interview. It's just like saying, I come to you to say, what do you think about this?
Right.
But the onus lies also on the media.
Media.
Are you, for instance, if we have someone on the Morning Crossfire making allegations,
you will
we
ask
you,
him,
do you have
sure
evidence?
Right.
If you have the evidence, you show it. However, this headline on the Daily Independent, Timmy Frank insists that he stands by his claim.
You know why I said it has to be settled in court now?
Absolutely.
It's not an issue of I refute this, you said this, I didn't say that.
Let's go show the evidence.
Let's go show the evidence in court.
Why has this divided the lawyers? That's the part I don't understand.
Lawyers are always divided.
But the vice president has got immunity. He can't go to court.
In any court situations, there are lawyers on two sides. Are there not?
And the vice president
Both
is
of them
also
say
one.
they are right, right? And then there's a court, which is a mediator who says, okay, lawyer A, you are not right. Lawyer B, you are the one that is right. That is how it is in every case.
Another part of this is EFCC says it is not investigating the VP.
Yeah, I think there have been some rumors about the fact that EFCC is investigating the VP.
Why is EFCC not investigating? That's my question here. If an allegation is being made against somebody, perhaps it's because a petition needs to be forwarded to the EFCC.
The allegation cannot be by virtue of an interview granted a newspaper.
Right.
You can't just say, I feel like.
Otherwise, EFCC will
they'll be running around in lots of.
Even if they hire the entire Nigeria, they won't be able to resolve all the problems.
This is a very interesting story. We are following it closely.
I'm loving that space.
It's going to be a very interesting legal battle.
To the court.
Absolutely. Let's wait and see how this plays out. Another story here, the PNID issue, a lot of money here also. Federal government's battle over PNID's $9.6 billion award spreads to Ireland as court grants ex-director Petroleum Resources 10 million naira bail. This is on the front page of the Daily Independent. It makes the banner headline on the Punch, $9.6 billion judgment. PNID says no negotiations. UK legal battle resumes today. Suggestion that negotiations have commenced is false and incorrect. Federal government delegation in last-minute meeting with lawyers and stakeholders. That's on the Punch. If you move it over to other papers, you can also find this headline. It's the banner on this day newspaper. Nigeria seeks extradition of PNID founder's son, co-founder, for trial. Reaches out to Irish, UK security agencies for assistance. Beams searchlight on Irish bank over $20,000 transfer to former Petroleum Ministry director. Legal battle to quash firm's $9.6 billion claim begins today in London.
Let's go to the Nation newspaper. I'm picking up that Nation newspaper right now. Headline above the nameplate: firms linked to PNID withdrew $700,000 cash. Well, the Rider anti-Magu plot thickens. The Nation is the paper. Let me look at the Daily Trust PNID award. We will not succumb, Malami says. Daily Trust for you. And from the Vanguard newspaper, PNID $9.6 billion judgment. Debt. Ex-director Tauga secures 10 million naira bail.
Of course, succumbing is not an option in this case. The amount, the size of the amount, the quantum, it's not something we can begin to contemplate that we're going to pay. is totally
It's impossible.
It's impossible. So the issue of we are not going to succumb we cannot. We must see this to the very logical conclusion. That is the way it is.
The best
Now,
scenario would be that the issue is scrapped. The worst scenario would be that we'd have to negotiate.
Yes, that's the way I look at it. You know, a lot of people who have said, and what I ask them is, if you were the president, are you saying that rather than pursue this logical and you'll be cutting the check? Is that what you're going to do as a president? No, and most of them I found out when I asked them that question, they pause a little bit.
It's a truth.
Yeah, so it's a difficult situation, but we must get to the bottom of it.
This is not going anywhere soon, right?
But the case starts today.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe in a
And by the way, PNID has said
it.
that they are not negotiating.
They were asking for negotiation a while ago. We said we weren't negotiating. Now they're saying, okay, we're not negotiating either.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue for negotiation, really.
Why shouldn't we negotiate?
Because we're going to
Why do
court,
you
that's why.
negotiate a fraud?
But there was a court order.
It's
That we're
There
challenging.
there was a judgment already.
Judgment could be in
Challenge.
error.
Yeah.
Judgment could be challenged. People say there was a contract. Yes, there could be a contract. Contract could be vitiated. You could say, I signed this, and then somebody look underneath and said,
It
this
was
thing you
based
signed
on-
was based on certain this and this,
And
it
it's
doesn't-
void.
It's valid. You say invalid rather. So let's pursue it to the very logical conclusion.
We're going to be following this seriously because it will be, I would love to see
Interesting
the cases
I
both
hope they
parties
will let us
represent.
see
Yes,
Right.
Be able
maybe
to-
a live.
live, at least the report, if you can't
Yes,
even read live.
we'd like
It
to
would be
hear
nice.
what both parties present before the court. It's going to be pretty interesting over the next.
And
few
hopefully
days.
nobody will be pardoned in this case, because a fraud, an alleged fraud of this magnitude definitely will have some former
Yeah.
government officials involved
there was
in
even
this.
a casual mention of the fact that $700,000 was withdrawn.
Right.
We're looking at it from the fact that
Cash.
We're looking at it as if it
Yes,
was
cash.
just
Cash.
PNID that could have erred in that case.
Hmm.
It's not only PNID.
Right.
Oh, it couldn't just have been PNID.
Yes.
There will be many Nigerians involved in that.
Including institutions who
Right.
paid
Right.
that.
Right.
And the CBN will say they didn't know about that already. Yes,
Those are some other things. but
$700,000.
let's chase away the
cash.
bigger issue.
Then
from
we
there,
come back
and then we can come back
home.
home and
We'll
look
be
at the
here
little one.
waiting. We'll be here. Federal government proposes 9.12 trillion naira budget, targets 7.17 trillion naira from VAT. Our budget issues are
How
being
much
solved.
from that?
7.17 trillion naira. I mean, we've almost paid off all the money for the budget. This is on the front page of the Punch. Also here on the Daily Independent, FEC approves 311 billion naira for link roads to Second Niger Bridge and others. You see, this also on The Guardian, FEC okays 314 billion naira for road education projects.
Still talking economy. Federal government to spend 2.45 trillion naira on debt servicing in 2020. Riders projected expenditure is 10.2 trillion naira. CBN only for monetary policy. That's front page, The Nation newspaper. Moving on to front page of the Vanguard. I think that's all I've got here on the economy.
Okay.
We're really serious with this VAT issue, yes?
The good part of this story is the fact that the NAS said, if you give me this budget by the end of September, I will ensure it is passed into law before the end of this year.
Right.
And they have been handed over the budget. So maybe for the first time in like how many decades, I don't know, we may actually have a budget that is signed into law in December in this country. Now, to the nitty-gritty of the numbers. I think there's something wrong with the report you read just now, that VAT, if the entire budget is going to be 9.2 trillion naira, VAT alone
Will be 7.17 trillion naira.
cannot be. Because what you're now saying is that from both oil and custom duties and all the other taxes, we're expecting 2 trillion. When in the previous period.
No, maybe we'll just have some excess money. I mean, we don't have to spend all our money on the budget, right?
But the budget will have reported that. So I think there's something wrong with that particular report.
Right.
Yeah. But having said that, a budget, to be honest, we have a long way to go as far as our revenue numbers are concerned. a budget of 9.2 trillion, or let's even say 10 trillion naira, for a country of 200 million people is still extremely poor.
Right.
It's still extremely, extremely poor. And I'm hoping that the new economic management team or advisory council will be able to bring more on board as far as revving up the revenue base of this country.
Are we poor as a country?
We are not in actual revenue. We are extremely poor. In potential, we are not poor. We're not poor in potential.
But we are poor right now.
But right now, in what we would think we can muster in the short term, we are very poor. Poor doesn't do justice to it.
Extremely poor.
Yes, we are.
Well, talking about the 7.17 trillion naira, going into the Punch newspaper, the government projected 7.17 trillion naira as estimated revenue Nigeria is expecting from VAT and other revenues.
Oh, and other revenue.
Expected to fund the 2020 national budget.
That
I was a
makes more
bit scared
sense now.
too. Yeah, this makes better sense. This makes better sense. Right. Let's see another story.
Right. Let's pick up this one from the Nation newspaper. Storm grows over closure of Nigeria's land borders. That's from the Nation newspaper. Right. As senators split over presidential action. Africa's free trade stumbles. Let me just take a sneak peek into that story. The shockwaves over Nigeria's land border closure, which continues to sweep across neighboring countries, reverberated at the Senate yesterday. President Muhammadu Buhari last month ordered the border closure. Some senators criticized the decision on the grounds that it has further put pressure on the economy and deprived Nigerians of their livelihood. Senate Minority Leader Inaya Baribi, Senators Abba Moro, Gabriel Siswam, and Sani Musa, among others, opposed the border closure. Moro, a former Minister of Interior, noted that there are 87 official borders and 1,900 unofficial borders around the country. Siswam wondered why Nigeria signed trade agreements with other countries and thereafter closed its borders.
Essentially, what that guy was saying is, it's not about the official borders only. If there are 80-something official borders, there are 1,000 plus unofficial unmanned borders.
Right.
So what are we manning? What are we stopping in the real sense? We must begin to ask those questions.
Right.
Then some very fundamental issues. I remember one of the senators had said, "Oh, look, the fuel consumption, fuel whatever, went down by 11 million liters." The question is border closure the solution to that problem?
Right.
Border closure can never solve that problem. Look at it this way. Fuel is 145 in Nigeria. It's 300 and something in the neighboring community. There's no way you can stop that movement.
Here is the thing. Here is the thing, Gbolahan.
Yeah.
So Senator Alero, who raised this point you're saying, said that smuggling of premium motor spirit has reduced drastically because of border closure. So marketers buy fuel at subsidized rate here because the amount is they can make much more money in neighboring countries at the rate you just mentioned. They smuggle this fuel that we paid for, we subsidized into these countries to go and
Sell
make
it
huge
for-
profit.
Correct.
And that has helped the economy. But these other senators are saying no. This closure is doing more harm than good.
Let me
doing more harm than good.
Let me add a comment from Senate. I had to go look up my Twitter handle because I know I retweeted it. It posted yesterday that Senator Shehu Sani says, along our borders, we have 5 paramilitary agencies, 3 defense agencies, and 2 intelligence agencies paid daily to protect our borders. Yet we have to shut the borders to secure rights. To secure our
It's a very
valid
interesting
point.
Well, shutting the borders could also be by the fact that not that there is a gate that got closed. It could also be the fact that those security agencies we just not allow
people to cross over.
to go.
So we had a
borders.
discussion with the controller of customs. I can't recall his name now, and he told us that closing the border is not closing the borders, like you said. It's just that
There isn't a gate,
checks have been intensified.
Exactly.
People are still moving. If you're not bringing in contraband, you are allowed to move your goods in.
No,
If your
goods are not allowed in.
That's the interview I had with him. That's what he told me, that there are some goods that
Some
are
goods-
not contraband goods.
Exactly.
So you go, you
Some
make your
goods will
purchases,
definitely move across those borders.
and once you pass through the checks,
Because
You'll be allowed to
those
cross.
things are targeted. They are targeted. So
what does border closure mean?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, let me understand. What does it mean? Doesn't
what
it mean
the
that we stop people
in
from
that
coming
space
in?
have been the word they have been using is partial closure.
Right.
If it's
That's
partial.
what they have been using, even while the media use closure of the border. Essentially, it goes back to the question raised by one of the discussants at that session yesterday.
Right.
I mean, I think that was a
Show
Sunday, whatever. If we have over 1,000 borders unmanned, unofficial,
1,900,
and we are manning 89, we must begin to ask ourselves: have we stopped anything really? Maybe we have stopped people who want to do it in the open, who want to take the official borders.
right?
What is happening to the 1,000 plus?
It's
other
almost
borders? What is going on in
insignificant.
those places? That's a big question we must put out there. It's not the way to go, really.
Indeed.
Well, that's the juncture we're at now. Many feared killed as kidnappers lay siege to Lokoja Abuja Road. Traveling by road right now just gives you all the jitters, just wondering.
Similar headline here on The
very
Nation. Kidnap suspect open fire on vehicles. Many travelers killed. The Nation newspaper. You can find a similar story on the Daily Trust. Suspected kidnappers kill ASP, others on Lokoja Abuja Road.
This is getting
It may,
really
it,
out
it,
of
may, it may
hand.
even get worse as the year runs to an end.
And people need to travel.
People need to travel. People want to be able to show that I've done well in this year. When they
I'm
get
going
for
home
Christmas,
at the
I'm
end
going
of the
home.
year.
You know, and essentially, crime rate tend to increase in Nigeria when we go through this period, and we are beginning to see because I mean we're almost in October.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, the state of insecurity is a major concern. I mean, I'm considering if I will be traveling this Christmas. If the roads are like this, it's just crazy.
I was
The
I was
answer
talking
is
to
clear for me. It's a no.
So
if it's about the roads, it's a no.
I was talking to
a big no.
I was talking to a colleague of mine the other day. He was invited to come and speak at an event somewhere in the east, and they're saying he should go by road and he said that he wouldn't mind because he was actually invited and he agreed to go for free. He said he wouldn't mind to spend his money to take a flight to the south and then
go
take
from
a
there.
connecting flight to, because there is no direct flight from here to that
where?
place. That he
Okay.
wouldn't mind to spend that much money because in the end, if something happens, if anything happens, he's going to spend much more, a whole lot more, and
course.
probably even lose his life. in the
CSS
process.
mom is still with the kidnappers 10 weeks afterwards.
That's yes.
So
Very
what are we talking about?
unfortunate. Yes, mother. And that's the second time she was
That's the
kidnapped.
second
Right.
time
She was
been
kidnapped in 2015, and she's an elderly woman. And
76 or thereabout.
we're,
Can you imagine?
we're still unable to find her.
The way these guys get on the road and start shooting is also worrisome. They are not your regular criminals. These
Why are we
people
unable to
who
handle
are
this?
high on drugs. These are people of zero conscience, nothing. You just open fire on a bus.
Right.
Why are we unable to tackle this? I can't understand it. I mean, it's been going on for so long. We've even lost security agents on those roads.
Some people have said, maybe we've gotten to that junction. I believe so too, that we need to. If something is not working, let's look for some other people to try now. Must we remove the security chiefs?
Are we at that juncture where we rehash the topic of state policing once again? Will this solve the
Very important. Very, very important. Very important. Now, maybe we need to progress, allow the state that can do it to at least progress with it.
problem? Right.
That could be a good start point because there is also the financing problems.
That's right. That's right.
And the states are also battling with their own
That's what I'm
finance
saying.
issues.
You can't give a man a gun and say you are a police now, and then you don't pay him salary for 5 months. What is the meaning of that? That's an official criminal.
Tells me that some of these guys on the roads might actually be security agents. Maybe there is a possibility because it's just too strategic.
Anything
it's just
is
too
possible.
Anything is
Anything
possible.
is possible.
Guys, stay safe. That's just the best advice we can give from this end. We're so sorry, but we need to wrap it up on the front pages right here.
Right.
Gbolahan has joined us since 7:30. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Gbolahan Olojede joins us on Tuesdays and Thursdays to look at these stories. When we come back, guys, we're giving you the phone lines to speak with the zonal coordinator of the national. Why do I always want to say emergency? With the National Identity Management Commission. We had a conversation conversation with them yesterday on Hard Facts, but
Right.
today we'll.
In case you missed that one for yesterday.
Yes,
it's
and you
another
can
opportunity
speak to
for you.
them directly. Ask all those questions right after this time out. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I am Sheriff Quadry.